Hi, today we're going to cover the combat in Planet Defiant. Now, combat is actually a lot simpler than you would think for a game of this relative complexity, so let's get right to it. Now, what we see here is that the intrepid adventuress Jessica Benton has entered a space with a beta alien. You probably can't read that due to the horrible resolution on this stupid iPhone, but that's what the little token says. So, Jessica is going to go ahead and initiate combat with this beta alien. Were she to wait for the next phase, the onslaught phase, the alien would attack her and things would work out a little bit differently. So, with Jessica initiating the combat, we're going to pull out the relevant battle board. In this case, because it's a yellow bordered area, we're bringing out the desert. And we're going to look at the relevant formation sheet. Now, since Jessica initiated the combat, it is a human selection, so Jessica's player could choose any one of the three, whichever she feels is most beneficial. If the monster had initiated combat, you would roll to determine which one of the three monster formations would be used. To set up combat, we're just going to look at the colored squares on the formation of choice. In this case, I'm going to go with this one here. And I'm just going to essentially match them up with the spaces on the board, corner being corner, so on and so forth, and pick one to place my character in. In this case, I'll be using a super high resolution token here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, yep. Nice. No, we'll actually go here. Super high resolution token. I know, it's amazing. So now, to place the monster, I'm going to look at the blue squares on the formation sheet, choose one as appropriate. Let's say, I don't know, how about this guy here? Looks good. So, to start out the combat, since it would be a beta alien token on the board, we would draw an alien from the alien deck, beta alien deck in this case. I've chosen this awesome robot dog, the Aethel, to be my opponent for this scenario. So, if there had been, 3 or 4 betas in the spot, I would have drawn 3 or 4 beta alien cards, and I'll be using them to track, the damage I do to it, and so on and so forth. The first thing we're going to do is roll for reaction, basically to see who gets to go first. We're each going to look at our relevant speed stat. Jessica's is a 3, and the daytime Athul here has a 3 as well. How exciting. Now, I was only able to dig out one 10-sided dice, so we're going to simulate this as opposed to exactly rolling it. So, Jessica would roll up 2 is not a success, 8 is a success, and 4 is not a success. So Jessica would have 1 success. I'd roll for the monster, Let's pretend that I didn't just roll 2 successes. Let's pretend I rolled none. So Jessica would get to go first in combat. Now, I've given her 2 weapons for this demonstration. A sniper rifle and a shotgun. Again, you probably can't read that because of the horrible resolution, but what it says is that the sniper rifle gives +3 to combat checks, and for a cost of 1 focus point, you can, what was that again? You can ignore armor, which is helpful because the Aethul here happens to have an armor rating of 1. We'll get more into armor in just a second here. And then there's the standard issue shotgun that just has +1 combat checks and is short ranged. The interesting thing about ranged is if I try and use, say, this long-range sniper rifle closer than its minimum range, let's say that the 8th hole was 2 steps away from me, the minimum on a long-range weapon being 7, I'm going to get a -2 penalty to that check. So let's put him back where he was. At the moment, sniper rifle is a very advantageous weapon. It is listed as a precision weapon, so I would reference my precision stat, which is a 5, and +3 from the weapon. So I would be able to roll 8 10-sided dice, and for each 8, 9, or 10, inflict 1 point of damage, pending things like dodge and armor, of course. So, let's say I got, 3 successes. Let's say 2. The 8th hole here has no agility stats, so he doesn't dodge. He's a big fat robot dog. He's not jumping out of the way of anything. But he does have an armor of 1. Now, 2 successes would normally kill him, but with his armor, that would be reduced down to 1 success, and he would only take a single point of damage. However, if I spent the 1 focus point to ignore armor, I would inflict the full damage, and he'd be dead. But let's just say that instead of that, let's just say I didn't get any successes. On his turn, he's going to move up to his speed closer to me because he's a melee fighter. So he'd go 1, 2, 3. Then on my turn, the shotgun is looking a lot more appealing now because I don't want to try and fire the sniper rifle and get the penalty. So I would move 1 space closer. He's now within 1, 2, 3 spaces of me, and I can fire at him with the shotgun. Again, I would roll an amount of dice equal to my stat plus the bonus. If he had an agility stat, he would roll 10-sided dice, each success canceling a damage equal to his agility stat. Simple enough. All skill checks are done the same in this. So from there, let's just say I killed him in this example. But to make things more interesting, let's say there's a whole bunch of these guys. 5 of them. Now, that's a little bit more of a problem, so let's make things a little more fair to poor Jessica and give her my personal favorite item, the R-Assist Beam Cannon. This is a beam type weapon that happens to come with a +11 to combat. 11 is a significant bonus. You kill things with an 11. So, the way beam works is everything within a straight line of my target is going to be hit for the exact same amount of damage I hit the target for. So, let's say, I rolled 7 successes. That's going to be 7 damage to him, him, and him. Everybody in a straight line. If I were instead using a splash weapon, it would be everything adjacent to my target. So if I was shooting at the guy in the middle, it would hit all the way around him. And then there's various other effects to the game, fire and ice and all that good stuff, but it's all pretty clear in the rule book. So, that's pretty much the gist of combat there, unless I'm forgetting something. Well, just to be safe, let's cover it attacking me once. So, it charges up to me, and it is going to reference its strength stat, because it is a melee fighter. So he would roll his 2 dice, and let's pretend those were successes. So he is hitting me twice. What I'm going to do is look at my agility stat, which is a 3, and roll it 3 times. 1 success, 2 success. Hey, cool. Alright. So I just dodged all the damage. 2 successes versus 2 successes. The final thing to cover is the way focus points work in combat is just a little bit different than the way they work in the rest of the game. They're going to refresh at the end of each turn. So essentially, I have 4 points to spend on my combat round. This is going to count for everything except movement. So, if I fired my sniper rifle and wanted to penetrate armor, it's going to cost me 3 focus points. 2 to fire the weapon and 1 to penetrate the armor. So I'm actually, unfortunately, only going to get 1 attack instead of 2. And there's various weapons that say the shotgun here only costs 1 FP to fire, so you get into range, you can fire that thing like crazy, so on and so forth. That's pretty much the gist of it, unless I've forgotten something, which is always very possible. Heroes move based on their endurance stat. You've got 1 movement point per point of endurance. Strength is what you're going to use for melee, precision for ranged, willpower for noetics. That's about it, I think.